Now entering Nerdist.com.
Hello and welcome to Today We Learned. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing well, because otherwise I can't really do much about it, and it would really bum me out if you weren't. Guys, we got a great show for you today. You may notice that you don't hear Razzle's dulcet tones on this intro. Well, that's because you're going to hear them momentarily. I'm actually the one who's not here this week. I'm Dan Casey, in case this is your first time listening. I'll be back next week with another fun-filled episode, but we got a good show for you today. The wonderful Zane Grant stepped in to fill in for us. You may know him from the Mystic Party podcast. We had his sister and co-host on recently, Bria Grant, another great episode. You can download that. And guys, I'm really bummed I had to miss this one because I'm a big fan of today's guest's work. You may know him as the director of Jeff Who Lived at Home, The Puffy Chair. He has a new show coming to HBO called Togetherness. I'm just going to cut to the chase and let you know that you're about to listen to Today We Learned number 55 with Jay Duplass.
Today we learn.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Today We Learned. Today We Learned with Razzle and Dan. I am Razzle, as usual. Dan, unfortunately, couldn't be here today, so filling in on the guest host duties is Zane Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Zane Grant speaking.
Yes. You may have heard him on the Mystic Party podcast, which is a really fun podcast I did not too long ago. It's really fun.
It was fantastic. We solved your problems.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here. I'm a big fan of everyone in the room.
And our wonderful guest this evening, this morning, whenever you're listening to this, he's written and produced many things. Coming out today, The Skeleton Twins is a movie they produced with Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig, and he's starring in a Amazon show called Transparent, coming out on September 26th, I believe, if my information is correct.
You are correct.
If you're driving, take your hands off the wheel and give Mr. Jay Duplass a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Jay,
yes.
as I've mentioned, I think I mentioned to you, we like to start off the episode, every episode, with a guest providing either a fun fact about themselves or maybe something they've learned recently from any. There's no rules. We judge not on the fact sharing on this show.
Okay. I don't know if this is a true fact, but me being in the film industry, I did recently hear a story that in the original Terminator, one of the primary actors who was considered to be cast as the Terminator was O.J. Simpson.
Okay.
But he was turned down because the producers deemed him not... They didn't think it was possible that he was capable of just ruthless murder.
Really? That's funny.
Interesting.
I could almost see that being real, only because, like, prior to Terminator, I guess he was in Police Squad, A Naked Gun, and all of that. So
yeah,
it was more of like a.
And back then, I don't think that they had that many beefy dudes that were actors, that had box office potential.
Yeah.
They just deemed him way too nice.
Too nice of a guy.
He can't kill people.
And it's not like Fred the Hammer Williamson. He went from football to acting.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
It does.
And then he ended up going to be. I always can never think of the name, but OJ went the sci-fi route, and he was in that. Was it Capricorn 1?
Yes.
Where it was like the fake, instead of like faking the moon landing, it was faking a Mars landing.
Yes.
And somehow the government started hunting down all the astronaut actors, and
he had some weird casting landscapes.
Yeah.
Capricorn 1, that being kind of like a brainy sci-fi thing.
Yeah.
I remember, I was a kid when I saw it, but I remember thinking, I don't know how smart he is. Why is he there?
Yeah. He's the muscle on Mars.
And then, of course, his turn as Nordberg in The Naked Gun was also unusual.
Yeah.
And he didn't talk much during it.
No, what was it? The first, it was a good, I think it was like a 6-minute scene in Naked Gun 1 where he was just sneaking up on the boat.
Yes.
And it was quiet the whole time. And then he just kept getting like shot at and bear trapped. And it was just like a, it was more like a slapstick.
He was internalizing a lot of pain that needed to come out apparently later on.
Jay, I did a little bit of research, if my research corrects, if Wikipedia can be considered research.
Yes.
And you were born in New Orleans, correct? Or
That
you
is
were
correct.
raised in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, I was actually taken to the hospital during Mardi Gras.
Okay.
And I was born on Ash Wednesday. 'Cause
Okay.
We were raised Catholic, and they put ashes on my head as an infant.
I was raised Catholic. We dealt with Ash Wednesdays.
No one is Catholic. You're just raised Catholic, right?
I feel anybody our age. I don't think. I mean, they do a really good job of trying to think of a smarter word, but deterring adults from wanting to stay Catholic.
Oh yeah,
they do a really good job at excommunicating all the young adults from
absolutely
from wanting to.
We just retain Catholic culture. There's the religion of Catholicism, and there's the culture of Catholicism, which is basically drinking.
Yeah, beer tents.
Drinking and eating.
How do they send you on your way? What are those rituals?
It's ritualistic torture, and all the sacraments that
Peace
you have
be with
to
you
do.
And also with you.
Yes,
we lift up our hearts.
You have to come into. Yeah, you have to sing Latin songs. That generally sends you away. You are brought into a confessional with a priest. And you're interrogated about what you've done wrong. That sends you away. And you leave that confessional, and you never want to come back.
Depending on what you did wrong, you have like 10 Hail Marys and 3 Our Fathers.
Yeah, it was pretty standard.
I saw that in The Exorcist. I was raised Southern Baptist, so it's kind of all I know is that you guys are going to hell. Other than that,
I was raised Catholic. And then my dad, both my parents were Catholic, and then my dad ended up going to be Baptist, and he was my dad is Southern Baptist. Pretty much, but for a while he was whatever Baptist is, like no dancing and women wearing skirts, like very much like that.
That's a solid. That's a solid choice.
Fire and brimstone, like if you don't come to this exact location for Sunday morning, everybody's going.
You get the feeling sometimes that like serious Baptists are super jealous of what the Muslims are doing. You know what I mean?
It's very similar.
Wow, they got their women all wrapped up. I'm gonna get this. And this is. I should shut up.
That's funny. But New Orleans. Here's a couple of facts about New Orleans. I don't know if you knew this, Jay. The city, or Zane. The city, New Orleans, is named after the Duke of Orleans, who reigned as regent for Louis XV from 1715 to 1723, as it was established by French colonists and strongly influenced by their and the African cultures. It is well known for its distinct French and Spanish Creole architecture, as well as being known as the birthplace of jazz.
I did take some classes in high school, the history of Louisiana, history of New Orleans, and this roughly rings a bell.
How do you feel about parishes as a way to organize a state?
I think it's just a matter of vocabulary, right?
I don't know.
But it is such a Catholic, or originally Catholic place that, the counties are called parishes. And
I guess I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically
it's
what's up.
The whole state, it's the only state in the United States that its legal system is based on a French constitutional system.
Yes.
Really?
There are 3 types of law in the United States. The other 2, I don't know what their names are. But only one state, Louisiana, is still working under Napoleonic law. That is the title of it, and it is based on the French Constitution.
Really?
So if you're a lawyer, you cannot practice in Louisiana. I mean, you literally, well, first of all, you can't even be licensed, but you would be lost in terms of how they do things.
Unless you grease the wheels.
That's true. That's a given. Yes. I mean, I think Louisiana in general and New Orleans in general is. I mean, it's great because it's not like the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
The values there are drinking and eating and hanging out with people.
Hanging out.
And it's a very retrograde way of being, but also it is steeped in a way of being that is hundreds of years old. So it's got a lot of pluses and negatives that come with that combo. It's kind of like the Caribbean.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like people are really nice. You might get murdered. Not sure.
They're nice to you. They're nice to you, but they're going to stab you in the back.
They
as soon as
might
you turn
kill
around.
you.
They might, yeah, you might get some.
So Napoleonic law, like what? How is that any different? Like, the laws are inherently the same, right? It's just named after Napoleon.
It's still, based in a 20th century state, European system, like colonial system kind of thing, So it's organizationally, I think it's similar, but there's a lot.
So, like, if you get caught stealing, you get your hand cut off.
Your hand
Three
cut
thrashings
off.
of the thighs with.
Yes.
If you get caught stealing, you're a witch.
Yes.
I like that there's two other kinds of law systems that we don't even know.
We don't even know.
There's one that most people use.
Oceanic law? Is Oceanic law a
Oceanic
thing?
law. And yeah, Tennessee walking horse is a kind. and the other one is
Tennessee walking horse sounds like the name of like a Kentucky Derby contestant. Coming up around the fourth bend, Tennessee walking horse.
and it's sunshine lips by the nose.
Coming up behind Napoleonic law,
Right.
descendant of Secretariat.
Right.
I feel like DC must be one, right? That has to be a different one. Anyway.
Washington D.C. like a
Yeah, because it's run by like
I like how we're just like this is about things that you can learn,
Fact.
and we're just guessing at a bunch of
guessing.
shit. We're just
I thought this
stabbing
was
in the
a show
dark.
where you mention things and then people correct you on Twitter. So you learn things.
Welcome. Well, yeah, that's what Twitter is. We just I can't remember the exact name of it. But we mentioned it a podcast or two ago, and there's like there's a name for it where it's like if you want to get the right answer, don't post the question on the internet, just post the wrong answer.
Yeah, no,
Because then
that's
everybody's
that
going
will
to correct
incite everyone, and then you can come to a consensus when the 1,000 emails come in. Yeah.
Jay, you're in the. We mentioned at the start of the show, you're one of the co-stars of the show Transparent, coming out on Amazon.com.
Yes.
Amazon is breaking their way into the foray, I suppose, of digital content, releasing digital content. And it's a very funny show. I believe Jeffrey Tambor is also in it, right?
Yes, Jeffrey Tambor is in it, and the show is basically about Jeffrey Tambor is my father, and when he turns 70, he becomes transgender.
Okay.
And it is played very straight. It's funny, but it's played super straight. And my sisters are Gabby Hoffman and Amy Landecker.
Oh, I'm excited.
So it's a great show, and it's created by Jill Soloway, who was a part of 6 Feet Under and United States of Terror, and she's a great writer and a great creator. And the show is very irreverent, and it's very real, and it's hilarious.
I'm excited. I like Jeffrey Tambor. He seems like he could definitely play that straight well, almost in the vein of like how we mentioned Naked Gun, how it was played. It was like a comedy,
Yeah.
or like Airplane, where it's a straight up comedy, but it's all played very. Like the comedy's played very straight.
Yes.
And some of that is the fun. I think is the funniest.
It's
type
the funniest
of comedy.
stuff, and Jeffrey is so smart and so sharp. I mean, just Jeffrey in general is just funny. You just look at him, he looks back at you, he doesn't know why it's happening. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. You don't know really how, he can be incredibly sharp and, dialing in, but sometimes it's just him getting donuts at craft services, and we're just laughing our asses off.
That's awesome.
He's in a dress getting donuts. It's funny.
That's funny. So it comes out on Amazon.com.
Yes.
I got a couple facts here about Amazon here. Amazon.com, according to Wikipedia, is the world's largest internet company. Now, anytime I hear the world's largest of anything, I like to find out what the second and third largest are. So I made some notes here. Google is the second largest internet
Bigger
company.
than Google.
Yeah. eBay is the third largest. Tencent is a Chinese company. It's number 4, then Facebook is
Never
number
heard of
5.
it.
Exactly.
Never heard of
I've never
Tencent.
heard of it. I've never heard of Tencent. I've also never heard of. There's a company called Alibaba coming out, which I don't know if you deal in stocks or anything like that. I have a little bit of a portfolio, but
He has a portfolio. He manages it.
it's an art portfolio. It's like got some scribbles, and I just write down companies
Dude,
that I've heard
I think
of.
it's called a trapper keeper.
I have a trapper keeper full of like.
You got a picture of a barbarian that you drew. and
That's right.
A unicorn on the cover.
and like Netflix, and then there's an arrow.
And a white tiger in the snow, I believe.
This is the white tiger is going to the front page. It's got a.
Yeah.
It's like those. Did you guys ever? I don't know if it was. I mean, I'm 32, so it might. I don't know. How old are you, Jay?
41.
Okay, so it might be a little. It might be my time or whatever. How old? You're like my age, right?
I'm 80 years old.
80 years. Zane is 80 years old. So this is way past your time. But I remember.
You look terrible. you look more like 93.
Thank you.
When I was a kid, we had like those Trapper Keepers or whatever, but we also had sticker books, and we would buy and sell stickers with each other on the playground. Did you guys?
Were they
do that?
scratch and sniff?
Some of them were scratch and sniff. Yeah.
Bought and sold on the playground, like you created a little market
Yeah, we would do that. I mean, or we would trade and trade
with
stickers
cash.
Did you
Well,
have
we would
a
buy with other
trench coat that you opened up clandestinely?
It's got like a bunch of like air fresheners only stickers like just hanging down.
In my day, we traded Babe Ruth baseball cards. They were all over the place.
93 and Babe Ruth doesn't make sense. No. if I knew about baseball, I'd be like, I do math. You would have been 0 years old. But anyways, Amazon, Tencent is a company in China. Tencent is a Chinese company. Its many services include social networking, web portals, e-commerce, and multiplayer online games. Now back to Amazon. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, incorporated the company as Cadabra on July 5th, 1994, and the site went online as Amazon.com in 1995. Bezos changed the name Cadabra.com to Amazon.com because it sounded too much like cadaver. Additionally, a name beginning with A was preferential due to the probability it would occur at the top of any lists that was alphabetized. Can you imagine?
I've heard they're worth almost $1 trillion. Is that true? Do you know?
It's got to be.
It's upwards of $1 trillion.
It's got to be because it's the back to that abracadabra, that not abracadabra, back to Alibaba I was talking about is a very similar. It's like a Chinese Amazon type of thing where it's like a bar. It's like a bazaar.
Okay.
And Amazon is like the largest right now, but there's a lot of talk saying once Alibaba comes out in the public and everybody can buy it and all that, and it'll become like a global just a e-commerce site. And
it's interesting to me that they wanted it to start with the letter A because of alphabetized systems, because in the age of the internet,
it doesn't matter.
There are no. It's like, what am I going to look at? What is Amazon? I need to open up my Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
And then
there's a lot of pressure right now on iTunes and on just the digital film distribution systems to name your film higher.
Oh, really?
Alphabetically.
Still?
It's a lot of pressure.
Interesting.
And it pays off. It totally pays off. Like we've been asked
to change names.
Before.
Now, is that like including like the or with the letter starting with A's, or like what's the science behind that? Like
they want it to be in the A's and B's and C's. If it's in the A's and B's and C's, you're going to get more hits from people who don't know who you are. If people know who you are, they're looking for your movie, that's fine. They're going to find it anyways.
Okay.
But for sure, if people are just scrolling, they start with the A's, and it's a real thing apparently. Like you're going to get more revenue share if you name your movie Abracadabra.
And you and you guys, do you subscribe to that? Have you done that in the past? Because I know like Safety Not Guaranteed was a movie you produced.
Yes, we don't do it. We just feel bummed about it every time we don't do it.
Yeah,
because
morals.
Yeah, goddamn.
I have a long list of movie titles beginning with the letter A. If you ever need them, and it's organized alphabetically.
You sell the names
and
$10
by
a
genre.
pop.
$10, 10 to 20.
10, okay.
If you have stickers to trade, I'm open.
Okay, I'll let you know.
If there's smell stickers.
All right, Zane. We have it's a rom-com, and it's about a female waitress.
After Sunset.
I feel like that's taken. Isn't that taken?
No, I think there's Before Sunrise.
Before Sunrise.
There's what are they? I can't.
Midnight.
Before Midnight. I think After Sunset might be free.
After sun, it's like, and then it's after the morning time, and then after sunset.
Girlhood needs to be a movie now. People just need to jump on the
Yeah, but I don't know. I think 12 years of that, the girls through puberty is one movie you don't want to watch.
you could call Apple Bottom because it's about the emergence of a young woman's apple bottom over her teenage growth years.
No comment.
That's funny.
Just okay. I got other ones.
I feel like you could be like you could just like just use the letter A space. So it's always like something transparent.
A transparent.
Yeah,
But this is
A
just for
transparent.
iTunes. Or is
I
this
think
for?
the articles don't count.
Yeah, I
right?
think that's
okay.
right.
Yeah.
They cut them out.
fair enough.
You know what? Now that we're speaking of articles and words, there's something that I wanted to share.
Yes.
So to drop some knowledge.
Absolutely.
Let me drop some knowledge here. It's about object pronouns. Okay.
Okay.
Can I switch the topic
Absolutely.
real quick? Okay.
Switch it
I
up.
love them.
I love this.
There's something that's going on, guys, and we need to provide a public service here.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen
Now,
up. Listen up, everybody.
People like to try to speak intelligently. Okay. Everybody wants to sound smart. Everyone wants to sound intelligent.
For the listeners, he's rearranging everything on the table right
I'm
now.
absolutely.
He's like he's going to give us.
Switching these
He's giving
papers
us
up.
a full-on presentation.
Yeah. I
Symposium.
just handed over the syllabus just now.
Oh, this is interesting.
So
the semiotics of-
people will say very often, they'll be like, Jim and I are going to go do this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And they like Jim and I because you never say me and Jim because that's what you grow up saying and your parents correct you to Jim and I. Okay. Now there's this thing where people say, he gave Jim and I a hamburger.
Okay.
And that is actually incorrect. Do we realize this? Is this something that we know? Because
Who is he?
the correct is he gave Jim and me
Yeah.
Really?
a hamburger. Absolutely, because me is the object pronoun. It's an object at that point.
Okay.
This is the most boring podcast you've ever
no,
done.
no,
but
this
it's
is
super
interesting.
important because if you said Jim gave me a hamburger, it's me. You wouldn't
Correct.
say Jim gave I a hamburger. So you
correct.
just got to take out the prior
Right.
person in your structure. But this is why it's so tragic.
Yeah.
Is because the people who say it that way are being overly careful to be correct.
Correct.
And they're fucking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say fucking it up?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Fuck it, shit, piss,
so,
fuck. Yeah.
this isn't a mean thing. This
No.
is just like all you people out there. It's not always Jim and I. You gotta. What is it called? You gotta change your
it.
pronouns.
All you neurotic people who
Yes.
were made that way by
Yeah.
your
I'm gonna take it to the next
your
level.
overbearing parents. Listen up.
You're doing it wrong.
One more rule to follow.
That's right. That's right. That's what I'm here to do. Instill anxiety.
So because then instead of all right, I mean that makes sense. It makes complete sense.
But everybody does
it. It only works if it starts off with like Jim and I.
Yes.
Then
Jim and
that
I,
works.
if you're the subject of a sentence, Jim and I are going to go
Correct.
get a hamburger.
Correct,
That's
but,
fine.
But if somebody gives you it, if you're in the middle, if
If it's happening
Yeah.
to you, it's a me. It's
Okay.
the same. You just take Jim out of the equation,
Yeah.
and then you know how to do it right. I am getting a hamburger. He's giving me a hamburger.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I have a question. Is the movie Me and You and Everybody We Know, is that incorrect?
Me and you and everyone we know.
It's not in a sentence.
No,
It's
it's
a
not.
title.
It happened to me and you and everyone we know. Miranda, she kept it open, dude. She started with a question. God damn.
What about that Jim Carrey movie, Me and Irene?
Me, myself, and Irene.
Me, myself, and Irene.
Still
I think that's
okay?
okay. I think that's okay.
I think so because you're.
It's a fragment of a sentence. You got to supply.
Yeah, I mean exactly. It's like it happened to me, myself, and I, or whatever. Or
But
Matt-
it wouldn't be me, myself, and Irene did something.
No,
That
it'd
would
be Irene, myself, and me. Or Jim,
Myself and I
Jim
did
gave
a
Irene, myself, and me.
If you're driving, wake up. Wake up right now. Wake the fuck up. Sorry we driven you to sleep.
There's some kind of pronouns at work here. I don't remember which one kind it is.
It's like so it'd be like Jim gave Mac and me
Yes. Yes.
a McDonald's hamburger.
That's right. Mac and me.
Mac and me. God damn that movie.
Loved it.
Speaking of hamburgers, I guess hamburgers are food. We're going to segue. We love segues on here.
Yeah, I like
we love bad segues on here. So this is I'm derailing this train right away. Here's a couple of things. Do you guys eat? Can you eat cake? Can you eat chocolates? Did you have any food allergies? Does anybody have any food allergies here?
I have a little bit of a dairy allergy.
I do
Okay.
too.
Yeah. It doesn't stop me from eating dairy, and it also doesn't stop me from farting repeatedly,
Oh wow.
unstoppably.
I don't eat it. I just don't eat it.
You
don't
don't. What happens to you?
I get really sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Northeast Texas, near Shreveport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that. All right.
Yeah.
I like it. All
I
right.
was just there.
Yeah, you were a short time, right?
Yeah, I went
Like 3 days or something.
Yeah, I
like
went
that.
for a funeral.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I yelled at the funeral manager. Is that a job? That was fun. I'm not. But anyway, let's go back to what.
No, hold on.
Wait a minute.
I got to hear this story.
There was yelling at the funeral?
Well, it wasn't like yelling, but I definitely chewed her ass, as they say in East Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there not enough flowers or something, or what?
No, it was like I got there, I flew late, drove from Dallas, and I show up, and the first thing the woman says to me, she's like, "Oh, where'd you come from?" I said, "Oh, I just came from Los Angeles." She said, "I had to move here from Dallas. It's Marshall, Texas. Sullivan's funeral home. Don't ever have a funeral there." And she says, "Oh, I hate it here." And I was like, "That's great. Like, I came here for a memorial service for my aunt.
Yeah.
Like, I just came here like so far. I don't care that you don't like living here. I don't want to hear about that." But I let that go.
Right.
But I was like, "That's weird."
Strike one.
Strike one.
Then during the service, they're saying all the Christian stuff, and then the eulogy's happening, and there had been a nice slideshow of my aunt, like Renaissance fairs, and she had a Clydesdale horse, not a Tennessee walking horse, and and then it ends, and they're giving the eulogy, and it cuts to a screensaver, big as the wall. There's a 4-foot ball bouncing around, like on the wall. You can't see my hand. And then that happened through most of the eulogy, and then the woman comes in and sees it, and then she turns it to like a blue screen. So there's a giant blue screen projecting, and so then I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because
not pro.
Because they
Yeah.
cost.
Just turn it off.
Because also, I wrote the check for it, $4,000 for 2 hours.
Oh.
And so not
Yeah,
even 2
funerals are
hours, maybe
expensive.
an hour.
Funerals are expensive.
And so then I went and complained to this guy in this office, and he was like, didn't even care. He was just like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Well, I grew up here."
What's with there's a
Yeah, everybody-
territorial thing
Yeah.
going on
I
over
was
there.
like,
we don't
What?
take kindly to your parts around
That's
here.
right.
What does it matter? I'm writing the check. And so then the lady comes up to me in front of the grieving mother of the woman who died, and she says, Did you tell on me?"
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Yeah, I put a complaint on you. I didn't see you. I would have told you yourself." And then she says, then she starts asking me, like, "Well, what do you do for a living?" and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Wow.
"What are you talking about?"
Interrogation.
Yeah. And so then after my aunt leaves, I was just like tore into her, and she was apologizing. I was just like, "What is wrong with
Good for you.
Also, another grieving woman who was my aunt's high school friend, she sold me a book, a children's book, at the funeral.
Did it have stickers in it?
Didn't have any stickers.
Jesus.
But I
Did you
thought-
have to do community service
Yeah, what-
during the funeral as
I don't know,
well?
it
Were you
was a
wearing an
little
orange
weird.
vest?
Yeah.
I felt, yeah.
She
So
sold,
I was-
hold on. What kind of book? So you obviously bought the book from her.
Well, it was like this. She was like, "Oh, I wrote a children's book. I'm a writer too." I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, okay." I was like, "Cool." I was like, "Great. Oh, I'd love to see it." And she was like, "Oh, I just happened to have some in my car." And then she hands it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, great." Like, "Oh, can I just have this?" And she was like, "Oh, it's $17."
Wow.
And I was like, "Wait a second."
Shilling your wares at a funeral home.
Yeah, thought that was a little weird.
Yeah. What was the name of the book?
It was called "I Have Many Faces."
You need to bleep that. You need to bleep that.
I can't remember. It has something to do with faces. I'll
That's
I'll buy you one.
Nobody buy that book.
No, you should all buy it on Amazon. I feel bad for the lady. Anyways, enough about me.
Back to food here. German chocolate cake. If I were to ask you guys where you think the German chocolate cake comes from, would you have any guesses without looking at the crib sheet here?
German chocolate cake.
Or do you guys already know this?
No.
Maybe somebody
Don't
might
know.
already know
Don't
that.
know.
I think I know. Actually, I read this recently. Is it Pennsylvania?
It's I don't have the state, but it's not Germany. I'll tell you
It's
that.
not Germany.
German chocolate cake is a popular type of cake. It's not. It's many people think it hails from Germany, but it does not. It was actually named after the type of chocolate used in the cake, not after the country. And the type of chocolate is named after the creator of it. Its roots can be traced back to 1852 when American Sam German developed a type of dark baking chocolate for the American Baker's Chocolate Company. The brand name of the product, Baker's German's Sweet Chocolate, was named in honor of him. Now, on June 3rd, 1957, a recipe for German's chocolate cake appeared as Recipe of the Day in the Dallas Morning Star. It was created by Miss George Clay of Dallas, Texas. Now, General Foods, the popular brand that everybody knows of, which owned the Baker's brand at the time, took notice and distributed the cake recipe to other newspapers in the country. Sales of Baker's chocolate are said to have increased by as much as 73%, and the cake would become a national staple. The possessive form, Germans, was dropped in subsequent publications, forming German chocolate cake identity we know today, and making people think it's from Germany. It's German chocolate. People assume it's like a chocolate from Germany.
Bad case of telephone.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
We got going on here.
Yeah.
Over
Exactly.
the centuries.
I did not know that. I've seen that, and I'm like I'm not a fan of German chocolate cake.
No.
And I'm a huge fan of chocolate cake, but I was never into German chocolate cake because now I know this because it's a form of dark chocolate, and I don't like dark chocolate.
Oh, I thought it was because you didn't like Germans.
Can we discuss the issue of cake haters?
Yes.
My
Let's
wife
please
is
do.
a cake hater.
What?
Okay.
She hates on cake.
All cakes.
Fuck cake.
Fuck cakes.
She thinks it's a waste
What about
of
cupcakes?
calories.
What does she
Fuck
like?
cupcakes.
Cupcakes.
She considers the doughy, fluffy part of cake to be a waste of her time and calories.
What does she eat?
She likes to cut straight to icing. She likes to cut straight to chocolate.
Oh, wait, so if she's getting calories, she
Yeah.
wants as many as possible and as
Yes.
least amount of chewing.
Yeah,
Oh.
but it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's about that. I think
about density.
it might be about density. It might be about just. I don't want to throw my calories
Yeah.
away on this fluffy bullshit. She doesn't give a crap about it. She feels it's insubstantive. She's offended by cake,
Yeah.
and I have noticed since
so
I've been
funny.
married to her that there are a lot of cake haters out there. People are down on cake.
Do they all just like, I don't want this sandwich.
Yes.
Just give me the meat
Yes.
and the cheese. Put it in my mouth.
I think that's what it is.
What is this crap?
They don't want all that bread. They don't want all
bread.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it, but I like it. I like a little delivery device for my icing.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the thing. I agree. No. But it's like,
With
here's
the
the thing.
caveat.
I concur. Now, does your wife? What about eating the cake batter? Because that's still consistency of icing.
That's something you could drink.
She'd
Yeah.
probably do that, but she just really wants to get to the chocolate.
Okay.
She considers herself much more refined. Cake is,
she's
what I mean?
She's the icing connoisseur.
Yes.
Does she
yes.
like the chocolate bars that have like the pure cacao in it?
Yeah, she likes
Like
all
that
this
tastes like sand.
classy,
It tastes like-
classy
It's
chocolate.
like has a sandy texture.
Yes, it doesn't taste like candy anymore.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. Well, I don't know. Have you guys tried Hershey bars since? Like, we all live in LA. We all
Yeah.
know what good chocolate tastes
Yeah.
like. I didn't consider myself a chocolate connoisseur or person,
Yeah.
but I recently tried a Hershey bar. That shit tastes like wax with sugar in it.
I can't-
There is no chocolate in it whatsoever.
I'm not a fan of the Hershey bars unless there's like almonds in it.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can't.
You'd be
like,
surprised. You'd be surprised.
I had no idea.
You
Like-
may have evolved without you knowing it.
my like when it comes to like treats like that, like I can't. I need substance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like just pure chocolate. I need some form of caramel or like like peanut butter. I'm a huge peanut butter fan.
Yeah.
And like Snickers are a go-to, or Charleston Chews where you do have the chocolate, but it's more of the center.
Yeah.
I can't just
Nougat.
I can't just eat chocolate.
Do they do nougat anymore?
Oh yeah.
Good Bar, right? Isn't Mr. Good Bar? Isn't that nougat, or what is Mr. Good Bar's?
I think nougat is in Snickers
There's-
and Milky
okay.
Way, right? That's considered nougat.
There's some
Nougat
and,
is what's in Milky Way.
I think
and
so.
Twix for sure.
That's nougat.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that white stuff in Twix?
yeah.
I
The
did not know
nougat.
that. Okay.
The nougat.
Wait, you're nougat. No, it's nougat.
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 So it's it's one of those words.
you
where
keep saying
can't-
nougat. This is gonna
Hold on.
devolve.
Hold on. How do you say it?
He said nougat.
Nougat.
The nougat.
And how do you say it, Jay?
Nougat.
Nougat.
Nougat. Yeah.
It's one of those words where like you write it down and
Because
the
it's
correct
not a
spelling.
fucking word. It's not a thing. It's bullshit. It's total
I wanna
bullshit.
know, on a future episode, where did that word come from?
Nougat. I'm gonna look
Yeah.
it up right now. I'm
Yeah,
gonna try and
that's-
find it here.
Giving you some fucking juice.
That's so like nougat because exactly. Like nobody just eats nougat, right?
You can't get nougat. You can't make nougat. Nougat is just something that I don't even know. It's got to be some leftover bullshit that they jammed into something. It's nougat. Okay, it's fucking nougat. Eat it.
Eat it. It's good for you.
It's the hot dog of like the treat world. Like, we'll just put all this shit together and
That also reminds me of like in the 80s when like Snickers really satisfies. They were kind of like selling it as like a healthy thing. If you can't eat a meal, there's a hunger inside you.
And it
Snickers
worked.
really satisfies.
It worked because remember in that documentary Hands on a Hard Body, and there was this one guy, and it kept saying, my coach told me. That guy's from Karnak, which is 20 minutes from where I grew up. And he's like, my coach told me. He's like, get hungry, just eat a Snickers bar, then you won't get tired. He's like, so I brought a bunch of Snickers bars, and I'm going to win this contest.
I'm going to win this contest.
Did he win the contest?
No, he did not.
The first one's out.
He was down and out real fast. And he was also volleying that they just do it in the per son. Not the pure sun. I just set us up. The Hands on Hard Body is, a bunch of people stand around a truck. They put their hands on it. Last one to let go of it wins the truck.
There's a documentary about
it's
this.
incredible.
It's great.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey produced it, actually.
It's like those radio shows where you put on your hands.
Yes.
On
It was a radio contest.
It's an incredible contest. It goes for 3 days. They cannot let go
Overnight.
of the truck.
Really?
For
They're, like,
3
falling
days.
asleep.
They're like, people are falling apart. People
That's
are losing
amazing.
their minds.
One woman who's super religious, she's listening to like gospel tapes the whole time.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, you know.
Spoiler alert, did she lose?
And I'm not saying.
There's one
But she
guy
did.
who
No.
has won a couple of trucks, and he's a braggart, and
A couple of trucks. So he just goes around to radio contests.
he just thinks he's a badass, and he's constantly referencing himself as like the Highlander.
Yeah.
He considers himself to be like the Highlander. He has
only one.
This guy is yes, he quotes that in the film, and he also brags about how he's got air conditioning in his house that could cool a Walmart.
No, that's two different people. That's two different people.
Oh, that's a different guy.
That was the husband and wife who were real old.
Got it.
I gotta see this.
Hands on a Hard Body is a gold mine of knowledge and jokes.
I gotta see this.
You could just play it live on your podcast because it's knowledge and jokes.
I'm the Highlander of winning trucks.
The way he quotes it is so great, or misquotes it. It's like unbelievable.
Speaking of trucks, we'll derail here. Then I got some information about the nougat. Volkswagen, the company Volkswagen also owns Audi, Bentley, Ducati, Porsche, and Bugatti. I didn't know that. It's kind of like the Koch brothers of automobiles there, right?
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
I guess it never matters to me who owns who because I just don't understand. But I guess we should pay attention because people are like monopolizing the world right now, right? That's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like there's only like 4 companies left.
Yeah.
And they make everything.
You ever see those pictures on like Reddit or on the internet where it's like the 4 companies, then it's just like spider webs of like everything they own?
And those 4 companies make everything and also weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's made clear when you look at it on a graph.
It's like, this nougat box was supposed to go to Raytheon. God, send it back.
Nougat is U.S. pronunciation nougat, N-O-O -sign get with an upside down E. So nougat. Or nougat for the UK. French pronunciation nougat is a family of confectionaries made with sugar and or honey, roasted nuts, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, hazelnuts, whipped egg whites, and sometimes chopped candied fruit. The consistency
you
of...
You can put anything in it.
Exactly.
Sorry, please.
That's exactly. It's like, then it's like the list just keeps going.
Right.
You can put this and this.
If you call it nougat, it's nougat.
Nougat is like the smaller version of like the during Christmas time you get it
the fruitcake.
The fruitcake.
Pound cake.
Pound cake.
Fruitcake.
Is that fruitcake?
Upside down fruitcake.
Those are different.
You could put a fruitcake in nougat.
Yes.
The consistency of nougat can range from soft and chewy to hard and crunchy, and it is used in a variety of candy bars and chocolates. The word nougat comes from Occitan, from Latin nut bread. Now, this is another thing where it's like, but come on, motherfuckers. There are 3 basic kinds of nougat. The first and most common is white nougat, made with beaten egg whites and honey. The second is brown nougat, also known as in Italy Mandorlato, which is made without egg whites and has a firmer, often crunchy texture. And the third is Viennese or German nougat, which is essentially a chocolate and nut.
Okay, now I'm gonna. Something's going on here because we originally thought nougat was full of shit. Now we're realizing nougat's been going on for centuries in Europe,
and there's 3 different kinds.
We've just bastardized that shit and jammed it into a fucking Snickers bar.
Yeah,
because I guarantee you, what's in a Snickers has nothing to do with what's going on in like southern Italy.
Because that sounds like beaten eggs is also known as mayonnaise, right?
Okay,
it's like mayonnaise and honey.
Yeah,
yeah.
But if you put some candied fruit in it.
Next thing you know, nougat.
3 different kinds, but yet here it's like, I mean, it's definitely has to have that, like the LA, like Hershey's are like a bastardized chocolate now. But if you really, like, you could probably go to a candy store and just get a bar of nougat, maybe.
Here?
I don't know.
In the United States? No, I think
LA.
you can get Jolly Ranchers.
Los Angeles.
That's all you can get.
You can get some vintage now and later.
Now and later.
Yeah.
You got a loose tooth? It's still kind of now and later.
Yeah, maybe at the farmer's market you could get some nougat.
There's got to be like stores in here.
But the dude won't speak English, and there's no way
nougat.
You're never gonna get nougat. And he's like,
you're like nougat. And you're like, nougat? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oui.
Speaking of Italy, I guess. Speaking of Italy having like the third form of nougat, pepperoni is not. A lot of people like pepperoni pizza and pepperoni and all that. They think it's like Italian or whatever, but pepperoni is not. As pepperoni on like the pepperoni on pepperoni pizza is an American food. It's not Italian at all.
Yeah, pizza is like not really Italian either.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Pizza is American.
In Italy, pepperone refers to bell peppers, and there's no salami. There's no Italian salami by the name of pepperoni. The term pepperoni is a corruption of pepperoni, the plural of pepperone, the Italian word for bell peppers. The first reference using pepperoni to refer to a sausage dates back to 1919. Little fun fact, some food facts.
You know, tortillas are like that.
Yeah, tortillas are actually relatively new, and like tortilla chips and all of that are relatively like less than like 80 years old, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, and if you go to like South America and you're like, I would like a tortilla, and then they give you an omelet.
That's true.
That's weird.
That is weird.
Fix that. how did colonialism not work that out? You know, in the 19th century, I feel like.
Hey, get with it. There's tortillas.
Sure. Resources.
They were too busy infecting and exploiting people.
Yeah, let's just all agree on the word for this food, please.
Well, like the Doritos were, I think it's Doritos or Fritos. Doritos were invented because, and when Disneyland was around, they had all these leftover like tortilla chips, and they wanted to find a way to preserve them and resell them. So they ended up Frito-Lay, the company that was doing this in Disneyland, ended up creating and forming them into the Dorito.
These are stale now, and they've been heat baked all day
with orange powder on it.
Yes,
so you can't taste them.
Yeah.
Wait, why did Disneyland have so many tortilla chips?
Well, I mean, they have food there, so it's like they'd sell whatever, tacos or whatever. They got like tortilla shells, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
People were flocking there for those tortilla chips.
Yeah. When it first opened.
Interesting.
Here's something I heard recently. I'll pull up a photo so you guys can look at this if I can find it. I was listening to another podcast the other day called 99% Invisible. It's one of my favorite podcasts I listen to. It's one of those learning podcasts. And there was the episode is called Holdout, and it was about a holdout is someone who's got like a piece of land or property, much like in the movie Up, how they were trying to build massive structures around this old guy's house, and he didn't want to do that. Yeah. And there's a house in Seattle that is still there. It's one of the most famous holdouts. Her name was Edith Macefield, and they built a huge mall around her house. So if you're at a computer now, Google the Edith Macefield house.
What?
Wow, it's awesome. Amazing. Like it's she was like 80 years old or whatever, and this is what's interesting about her story is she had no desire to move, she had no family or whatever, and they just kept offering her like Brinks trucks of money, and she's like, no, that's fine, whatever. And she was getting old, and the superintendent of the construction crew, and they started like Edith would sprinkle seeds on like the sidewalk and stuff like that to feed the birds and stuff. And if they didn't see the seeds, they'd check on her to make sure she's doing all right and all that. And long story short, the superintendent in charge of the construction of them all ended up befriending this lady, and like she ended up getting super old, and she would ask him to like take her places or to get her hair done and stuff like that. And he ended up, she understood. She was all about change. She understood that she's lived through so many, different types of changes. So it's not like she hated change. She's old and she didn't want to move. So it's not like she was, had any ill will against any of them. But she ended up befriending this guy. And then when she died, she left him the house.
Wow.
And she's like, don't sell it until you get your price or whatever. Then he ended up selling it, and the guy who bought it ended up not doing anything with it. But it was a really interesting story.
It's still there.
It's still there in Seattle.
That's amazing.
Just sitting there, yeah. And then it also turned me on to the phrase nail house, which is the Chinese neologism for a house belonging to people who refuse to make room for real estate development. And it comes from... like when they would destroy the houses to build, there's like a nail. It's like a nail sticking up in wood that just won't go down because they don't want to sell. That was pretty interesting.
Nail
that.
house.
Yeah.
Have you ever been driven from your home?
In a car, yeah.
That's a very literal interpretation of the question I just asked. Yeah. Have you? Have you ever had to move out of a place?
No, I've never had to. You?
I'm getting there soon.
Why?
I've lived in this house. I've lived in L.A. for 5 years now. But the house I live in now, I moved into February of 2010. Mm-hmm. And when I moved in, I took over someone's lease. I was subletting it. And then over time, it's a 5-bedroom house in Culver City. And over time, the other roommates would end up leaving. And I would bring in like my friends or my roommates, and they would end up, they'd move in for a little bit, and then they'd move out or whatever. They'd move back home or et cetera, et cetera. And the landlord... the guy who owned the house when I moved in, he's always tried to sell it because he bought it just to kind of like flip it type of thing, and it's an old house, and he just really wanted to sell for the land. So he sold the house eventually. Then these new owners bought it a year and a half ago, and they gave us a year lease. Then they extended it another 6 months, and the lease ends the end of this month. But then couple of my roommates are moving out, and it's like, all right, well, we'll just put in our 30-day notice now, and we'll leave at the end of our lease. They ended up, they'd rather it not sit vacant till the end of January when they're planning on destroying it and all of that to build like a condo or whatever. So they signed us like for a really cheap lease till the end of January. But come the end of January, I'm going to need to leave because they're going to be tearing it down. What about you? Do you have a story?
I was driven from my home by rats one time.
Really?
Yeah, but I was living in New York. And I finally got my own apartment, and it was super cheap. It was right next to the Marcy Projects, and I was like, this is great. And the deal was I had to remodel it, so I did all this work myself. And then I got rats, and I couldn't get rid of them, and they were giant. And one night, I thought there was just one, and one night I woke up, and my girlfriend at the time was there, and there was a rat on the stove, and it was like the size of a cat, and it was stuck in a glue trap, because I thought we had mice, actually. And so the glue trap wasn't quite big enough. And so I didn't know what to do because I was like, oh, I can't just pick this up. It's very big.
Yeah.
And so I put on some dress shoes and I had on my underwear and I took a crowbar and I beat it to death.
Oh.
And then I put it in a bag.
While it was sitting on your stove?
Yeah.
You just beat the shit out of it while it's on the stove?
Well, I aimed for its neck to be more humane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then...
Did it get, like, all over your stove?
No. It didn't explode or anything.
Okay. I just inherently...
Yeah.
No, it bled, but it didn't... Yeah. It's not like in Dead Alive or something, where if you just hit something, it's like, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's just everything's just gooey and blows up when it if you hit it. Like if I hit you with a baseball bat right now, your head wouldn't just explode. Story of Ricky style.
Yeah, I thought everything was spring loaded from the inside.
And then the organs, there you go. So yeah, and then I realized I had more rats. It was like a whole family.
Oh wow!
So I was like, well, I'm moving out. So that's how I ended up in LA.
So you moved out because of the rest, and then did you get was that a termination of your lease or something, or did you get reimbursed for any of that?
This is the crazy part. Well, okay, so I had this acidic landlord who did not believe me that there were rats, even though there are all these holes and like all this stuff. And I guess being Hasidic is not necessarily part of that. I didn't have to qualify it in that way.
No, but if you were like writing a book, you'd explain the landlord as that.
Sure, I could go into long details about it. I'd find him and his father sitting at my dining room table sometimes when I came home. Just why?
Really?
No reason. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, we're just taking a break." I'm like, what?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was their,
Wow.
They were slumlords. It was pretty cheap, but yeah. So it ended up. I ran into this girl who was she was subletting above me, and she was, when I was like, "Do you have rats?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Me too." And she said, "Yeah, the other night there was one on the bed." And I threw my cover and it like hit the bookshelf and ran away. And I was like, that's pretty bold. Like, I don't really want to be. I was like, I think I'm going to get out of here for a while. And she said, well, I'd like to sublet your place. And I was like, but it has rats, she said. And then she told me a story about how when she was 14 or 15 or something, she ran away with a 30-year-old man in Mexico City. And they had rats in their apartment there. And she got used to them. And I was just like, then during the sublet, I get a call out here 2 months into it, and it's my friend who owns a bookstore where she was working, and he was like, she is in a mental institution. That sounds like a weird short story, doesn't it? But it's true. It's true. Fact.
That's amazing. I love that so much. I guess speaking of apartments, this is a little bit of a thing here. A lot of apartments out in LA or New York, a lot of people furnish it, but they'll go to IKEA or whatever like that because it's cheap. It's easy to furnish apartments with that. And also, it's the start of football season. The reason I say that is because the NFL is technically considered a not-for-profit. I don't know if you guys knew this.
Yeah, I heard about this.
The NFL is a not-for-profit organization, so all the billions of dollars that it makes is technically not a profit.
Yeah.
And
How does that work?
Yeah, why?
Well, I think it's because it's
So they don't have to pay taxes?
yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Because it gets funneled back into advertising or the owners, or in licensing and stuff like that. And that's kind of like where I'm getting at with IKEA. I'll get to that, but I guess we'll start with the brief history of it. As of 2008, the IKEA is the world's largest furniture retailer. Founded in Sweden in 1943 by then 17-year-old Ingvar Kamprad, who was listed as one of the world's richest people in 2013. The company's name is an acronym that consists of the initials for Ingvar Kamprad, his name. And then the E is Elmtärd, the farm where he grew up. And then Agunnaryd, his hometown in Småland, South Sweden. Now, of the IKEA stores in 36 countries, 301 are ran by the Inca Holding Company. The remaining 47 stores are run by franchisees outside of that company. Now, the Inca Holding Company is not an independent company, but it's wholly owned by the Stichting Inca Foundation, which he established in 1982 as a tax-exempt, not-for-profit foundation. So they make money by licensing the name IKEA to all the IKEA stores, which are under this parent corporation. It's all like sub-levels of corporations just so they can consider themselves a not-for-profit and make tons of money.
We're basically going back to the feudal system.
Exactly.
That's what we're doing. It's like little fiefdoms.
Yeah.
And dudes on top of dudes. I own your land, and he
You're
owns
paying
my
me,
land. And
yeah.
you pay me, and we do it. It's all a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. I mean, it's same with like the NFL, where you have all these teams which are individually owned by these owners making bank. Then you have the people overseeing all of this, but because I guess they're getting. I guess what qualifies a non-for-profit, I guess, in the end, is as long as at the end of the day you say you have $0. So if the four of us here, with Aristotle included, wanted to start a not-for-profit and we made millions of dollars, at the end of the day, we just have to make sure to pay ourselves all of that money.
So basically every company is a non-for-profit company.
Exactly, in theory.
Yeah.
But there's weird rules. Is there a film industry equivalent of that? Of this IKEA pyramid scheme?
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think the studios are getting conglomerated and all getting united, but it's actually breaking apart at the same time because, people are just working outside of the studio way more now. It's a lot easier to do it. So, but you kind of still need. You don't necessarily need studios to distribute your films, but the channels of distribution are still controlled by. Although there's a million channels, there's only a few companies that own those channels.
Yeah.
So both things are happening at the same time, and I don't know how it's going to shake out.
Are you more pro like the like, because you produce TV and then you also produce movies? What is your preferred, like, wide release or like Netflix, Amazon type of thing, like your show on Amazon, just all at once, or the HBO that you got your show coming out on HBO next year? That's going to be a weekly show, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a preferred? What do you think is? Because in the end, like, it's changing. Like the music industry changed. They ruined the music industry in the end. Kind of ruined themselves.
Yeah.
And everything. As everything changes. Now it's just this year alone, I've continued reading how the summer blockbusters aren't doing as well as they've used to in the past and all of that. So now you have you got your on demands. You got a lot of movies that come out for 4 weekends or 2 weekends, and then all of a sudden it is on demand. How do you like? What is your preferred in a perfect? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you have a preferred way of distribution, or what do you think is best? The lump sum or the weekly for TV, or the I guess.
I think it just depends on the show or the movie that determines the best way to distribute it. I mean, if it doesn't have famous movie stars in it, you better not go wide with it theatrically, because nobody's going to go see it. I don't know. I like, in terms of TV distribution, as a creator, I personally like the idea that episodes would come out once every week, because I feel like if you watch all the episodes in a row, it's really fun, but if you watch it on a weekly basis, you tend to think about each thing more, and you share it with people, and so it becomes, I think, it becomes a heftier piece of art and like more pervasive, and it's something that you can really like sit with more. But even if it is released once a week, like our HBO show will be released, on a weekly basis, people can just wait, a few months, and then they can watch them all in a row if that's how they want to watch it, And I mean, for me, it's like, honestly, it's just about, I try not to think too much or worry too much about like where the industry is going and what's going to happen to the movies. I think one thing I've learned is like just to make good things. If you make it's really hard to make a good movie. There are not a lot of them out there, and not a lot of great TV. Well, there's a lot of great TV shows now. There's not a lot of great movies right now, but even still, like, one of the things that I think kind of gives me some calm with all the changes that are going on is if you make something good, it will get out there, because people are just dying to see something good, and it's really hard to make something good. And I think it's a little bit different from the music industry, in that people might kill me for this, but making a good song, and I was a musician for 10 years, is way easier than making a good movie. A good song, you can do it in your garage with 4 of your buddies, and it's also like it can be, there's more of a form, and also the appreciation of a song it's a very, very objective thing. Movies are very objective too, but in a given year, there's maybe 20 movies that come out that are really good movies that everyone generally agrees upon that these are really good movies. Whereas in a given year, there's thousands of songs that come out that everyone could be like, yeah, that's a really good song. So if you can get to that place where you actually make a really good film or a really good TV show, I think it gets out there in the way that it needs to get out there.
Yeah. Like, the cream does rise to the top. Like, you will, if it's good enough, people will talk about it. People will watch it.
Yeah.
I definitely think the TV quality has definitely really had a resurgence, especially with the idea of like miniseries, where they take the time to tell like a great story.
Yeah.
It's almost getting to where there's more miniseries, more TV shows are talked about in depth than a lot of movies that come out. Like
definitely
American Horror Story or True Detective or Breaking Bad or whatever. Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if I walk into a multiplex movie theater, there's maybe 20% of the movies, 2 out of 10 movies I want to see.
Absolutely.
If I turn on HBO, it's more like 80%.
Absolutely.
It's like literally completely flipped as to what I'm interested in, what I want to see.
Yeah, exactly. And I do agree with the weekly concept because it helps with the experience, I feel like, with good content, with really good, as far as shows go. I like to, when I watch something really good, I like to be able to talk about it. It's like the water cooler talk.
Yeah.
Like I like to be able to talk about it with my friends who also watch it and be like, oh, when you conspiracy theorize or what, however, there's got to be a word like that.
Yeah.
We'll put it there. And you have a time to wait. Whereas, like I watched the first season of House of Cards. We watched it because I was busier when that came out, so I'd watch one here and there and we'd talk about it. But then the second season, it's like you pound through it, and pounding through a TV show, especially when there's like episodes with like cliffhangers or any type of suspense building, it's you clear that instantly, so you don't have that week long of suspense or whatever.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah, there was a new study that came out that it's actually like pretty bad for you to just sit for a whole weekend and watch an entire series or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just mentally, like it depresses you, like depletes, because the cliffhangers are these constant like endorphin machines where you're just like, oh my God, like I'm worried what's going to happen.
Yes.
And then, you're
just getting
it wears you down. Yeah, it tears you. Yeah. So don't do that anymore, guys. Jesus.
Don't live in our society anymore in order to avoid that problem.
Go outside. All righty. Well, that's wrapping up our time here. I want to thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank Zane. Thank you for filling in for Dan.
Thank you for having me.
Jay, thank you for. I know we've been trying to get you on this for a while, and
thanks, buddy.
I appreciate you doing this, and I'm glad we got you on when we got something really cool for you to talk about.
Yeah.
So as we do that, now is where we wrap up. You guys can sell yourself. So I guess Zane, let's start with you. Where can people find you? Where can our listeners find you?
You can listen to me on Mystic Party, where I solve paranormal problems concerning Bigfoots and aliens and these kind of things. Search for it on iTunes or however you listen to podcasts. And then I'm at Zane Grant, Zane Grant on Twitter.
Alrighty, thank you, Zane. Now, Jay, you have Transparent coming out on Amazon
on
September 26th.
They're going to release all 10 episodes in binge release. And tonight, which today is, what's today? Friday, September 12th. They're going to release the Skeleton Twins film starring Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig. It's going to release in New York, L.A., San Francisco, D.C., and Chicago. And then it'll expand from there.
Okay, so this podcast will be coming out on Monday.
Okay.
So everybody listening now, The Skeleton Twins with Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig is in theaters now.
It is. Go back in time to the previous weekend and tell your friends. No, it'll be in theaters now, and check it out. It's a great film. And then this winter in early 2015, my brother and I, Mark, created a TV show called Togetherness. It's going to air on HBO.
Wonderful. Togetherness on HBO. Transparent on Amazon in essentially 2 weeks, I believe, right? If you're listening to this on the 14th, whatever today, this is Monday. So whenever you're listening to this, week and a half from now, Transparent on Amazon. Yep. Check that out. And now, is that that's on Amazon Prime, right?
Yep.
Okay, so subscribe to Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Then watch Transparent on Amazon.
Please.
Then, if you're not doing anything tonight, go watch The Skeleton Twins.
Yeah.
And, as usual, you can then listen to Mystic Party on iTunes.
Listen to Mystic Party on your way to see Skeleton Twins. Both were highly reviewed by the New York Times.
Yeah.
They were. I concur. And as usual, this is you can like us on Facebook. Today we learned with Razzle and Dan. You can send us a tweet, TWL Podcast. You can send us a Gmail. You can, if you have a fact or a bit of trivia, or you just don't like something we did, send us a complaint at todaywelearnedpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at my name is Razzle and the number 2. You can follow Dan at OsteoFerocious. And as always, don't take no wooden nickels. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.